My parents secretly turned my wedding into a surprise reunion with my estranged sister. So I erased them from my life. You know when people say your wedding day is supposed to be the happiest day of your life? Yeah, mine was supposed to be that. Until it wasn't. Until it became clear that my wedding wasn't about love. Not for my parents. Not for my sister. Not even for me. It was about fixing an image. Rebuilding a fantasy. Forcing a reconciliation I never asked for, just so the people who'd abandoned me could look like a loving family in photos again. But let me back up. Because this didn't start on my wedding day. It started the day I got engaged. I was living in a small apartment in Seattle at the time. My fiancé, Jonah, had just proposed to me during a quiet weekend in the Olympic Mountains. Nothing flashy. Just us, a quiet lake, and a ring he'd been saving up for over a year to buy. I cried. He cried. It was perfect. I called my mom right after. Her voice cracked when I told her. I thought it was emotion. Looking back, I'm not so sure. She kept repeating the same thing. This will bring us all together again. Finally, the whole family in one place. Before we go further, don't forget to like this story, hit subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss what happens next. I didn't think much of it then. I thought she meant extended family, cousins, maybe even my Aunt Lisa who hadn't traveled in years. What she really meant was my sister, Leah, the one who hadn't spoken to me in almost a decade, the one who blamed me for something I didn't do, the one who moved across the country and never looked back, except, apparently, when it benefited her. Leah had always been the golden child. She could do no wrong. Straight A's, homecoming queen, full ride to NYU. Meanwhile, I was the backup singer in the family album, the one who wasn't photogenic enough, the one who wasn't trying hard enough, the one who was always too emotional. But I was the one who stayed. I was the one who cared for Dad when he got sick. I was the one who helped them refinance the house when the mortgage was falling apart. Leah didn't call. She didn't write. But when she finally reappeared in the family group chat last year, no one told me. They kept it a secret for months. I found out by accident. Jonah and I had just locked in our venue, a small vineyard in Yakima with a view that looked like something out of a painting. We were planning to keep it simple. No massive guest list. No flower wall. Just family, close friends, and a short ceremony. Then one night, I borrowed my mom's laptop to check an email while I was visiting home. She'd forgotten to log out of her messages. There it was. A group chat labeled, Reunion Planning Leah's Return. Dozens of messages. Discussions about photographers, videographers, seating charts. All for a special moment during my wedding. I scrolled down, stomach twisting tighter with every message. This will be a healing experience. Maybe we could have Leah walk down the aisle with her? We'll tell Savannah when she's emotionally ready. Savannah. That's me. Emotionally ready? They were planning a surprise family reunion at my wedding, and I was the last to know. The worst part? They were planning to make her the center of it. My day. My vows. My moment. And they wanted to turn it into some PR stunt about sisterhood and second chances. Except Leah never apologized. Not once. Not for ghosting me. Not for telling people I stole from her. Not for pretending I didn't exist for nearly a decade. I closed the laptop and walked outside into the backyard. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I sat in one of those old rusting patio chairs and stared at the sky, like maybe if I focused hard enough, the stars would spell out a reason why my own parents thought this was okay. But they didn't. Of course they didn't. I heard the back door creak. My mom stepped out, wine glass in hand. Sweetheart, everything okay? I turned to her. I didn't even know what to say at first. Then I just said it. What's the reunion planning group chat? Her eyes widened, just for a second. Then she smiled. That fake, brutal smile she always used when she was caught. You weren't supposed to see that. Not, I'm sorry. Not, let's talk. Just that. Like I'd spoiled the surprise. Like I was the ungrateful one. I didn't yell. I just stood up and said I was heading back to the city early. She didn't stop me. Not that night. But the next day, the call started. Dad, Mom, Leah, even, for the first time in years. All saying the same thing. Don't be so dramatic. It's just one moment. Can't you see what this could mean for the family? Yeah, I saw exactly what it meant. That to them, I was still the backup plan. Still the stage, not the star. Still the bridge they were willing to burn if it meant they could rebuild their favorite child's reputation. Jonah saw the look on my face when I got home. I didn't say anything. I didn't have to. He wrapped his arms around me and whispered, "We'll fix this. Your way. No one hijacks this day." And that's when it clicked. They wanted to play a part in my wedding? Fine. I'd give them a role. Just not the one they were expecting. I didn't sleep the night I found the messages. I lay in bed next to Jonah, staring at the ceiling like it had answers etched between the cracks. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Leah's name, that group chat thread, and my mother's smile when she said, "You weren't supposed to see that." Like I had ruined their moment. Like I was the problem for catching the lie too early. By morning, I was done. I wasn't going to wait for more surprises. I wasn't going to let them steamroll me with guilt. I wasn't going to cry over people who decided I was less important than a photo op. I was going to clean house, starting with the guest list. Jonah sat beside me at the kitchen table, coffee steaming between us. His hand rested over mine as I scrolled through the wedding spreadsheet we'd built together. "You don't have to do this now," he said softly. "Yes," I told him. "I do. If I wait, I'll talk myself into letting them win." He nodded. And then we began. First name to go, Leah. I hovered for a second, not because I was unsure, but because deleting her felt final. Like the moment you stop wondering if someone might come around. I clicked. Delete. Second, Mom and Dad. That one was harder. I hesitated. My hand actually trembled. Even after everything, the lies, the gaslighting, the betrayal, some part of me still clung to that desperate childlike hope that maybe they didn't mean it. But they did. They meant every text, every plan, every lie by omission. So I deleted them too. Then came the others. Family friends who never once reached out during my lowest points but always had a kind word for Leah. Distant cousins who still liked her posts and shared her articles but ignored every fundraiser I'd ever organized. My Uncle James, the one who used to say I was too intense, while Leah was the light. Click, click, click. Gone. We went from a list of 110 guests to 47. I looked at the new count. For the first time, I didn't feel shame. I felt lighter. That afternoon, I drafted a new invitation email. Nothing passive-aggressive. Nothing dramatic. Just honest. Dear friends, Jonah and I have decided to host an intimate wedding surrounded only by the people who have supported us through our journey, genuinely and unconditionally. If you are receiving this, you are part of that circle. We are not sharing our day with anyone out of obligation or for appearances. We are choosing joy, peace, and truth. Thank you for being part of that. I hit send, and with it, something shifted. Not just the guest list, me. Later that evening, my phone buzzed. It was Mom. I didn't answer. Then came the text. "Savannah, we need to talk. You're making a huge mistake. This isn't just your day." I stared at that sentence for a long time. This isn't just your day. Like they truly believed I owed them space. Like my love life was a public service announcement for family unity. I typed, then deleted. Typed again. Deleted again. Then I wrote, "You made it about Leah. You lied. You didn't include me in my own day. So no, this isn't about us anymore. It's about me. And you are not invited." I never hit send. Not because I was afraid. Because I didn't owe them an explanation. Jonah wrapped his arms around me that night. "You sure? I'm more sure of this than I've been of anything. Then let's make this the wedding you deserve." The next morning, I called our venue coordinator. "Hi, Sarah. It's Savannah. I'd like to adjust our layout. We're going smaller. More personal." She sounded relieved. Honestly, those weddings are always the best. We ditched the dramatic head table. Swapped it for one big harvest-style table where everyone would eat together. We added a photo wall of memories, just me and Jonah. No family collages. No forced nostalgia. And instead of a family table, we made space for our chosen family, our best friends, our mentors, the people who showed up when it counted. People started texting as word spread. Heard about the guest list. Respect. Saw the new invite. It's beautiful. Honestly, I always thought your parents treated you unfairly. I'm proud of you. It was strange. I'd spent my whole life trying to earn love from people who only gave it to Leah without effort. But the moment I stopped chasing, real love started showing up in the most unexpected places. Then, on Thursday night, A week before the wedding, Jonah's mom pulled me aside during dinner. She held my hand, gently, and said, "I know this has been hard, but I want you to know you're not alone. We're your family now too, and we're going to show up for you the way you've always deserved." That was the first time I cried, not out of pain, but relief. They say weddings reveal who people really are. I thought that meant choosing flowers or colors, but I've learned it means choosing boundaries. Choosing who gets a seat at your table, literally and emotionally. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't choosing the people who hurt me. I was choosing me. The day of the wedding was clear. Soft breeze, golden sky. Almost cruel, how perfect it looked. Jonah and I had agreed. No chaos, no last-minute calls, no social media scrolling. Just peace. The kind we had to fight for. Still, even as the makeup artist touched up my blush, I couldn't stop my eyes from drifting toward the window, toward the gravel path that led to the parking lot. Part of me, a stubborn, hopeful, reckless part, wondered if they'd show up anyway. My parents. Leah. Not because they were invited, but because people like them think boundaries are suggestions. Think being blood gives them a lifetime pass. But the path stayed empty. No SUV. No flash of my mom's beige trench coat. No familiar silhouettes. And somehow, that was both a relief and a heartbreak. Jonah's mom, Colleen, zipped up my dress. It was simple, elegant. No train, no lace. Just silk and confidence. "You ready?" she asked, brushing a curl behind my ear. I nodded, but I didn't speak. Because if I did, the tears would start. And I was done crying over people who never made room for me. The guests took their seats. The music started. And I stepped into the moment. Alone. No father walking me down the aisle. No smiling mother waiting at the end. Just me, in a white dress, walking toward the one person who had never made me feel like I had to earn my place. Jonah's eyes met mine the second I appeared. They didn't waver. They didn't pity. They just saw me. And that was enough. But then, as I reached the halfway point, I noticed it. The empty chairs. Row 2. Left side. 3 perfectly spaced, perfectly untouched chairs. Reserved signs still hanging from the backs. I had removed them from the guest list. But the planner, not wanting to create awkwardness, had left a few seats open. Just in case. The sight of them hit me harder than I thought it would. Not because they weren't filled, but because for the first time, I didn't want them to be. I didn't want the false forgiveness. I didn't want the sudden change of heart. I didn't want the apology delivered too late, too carefully wrapped in manipulation. I wanted freedom. And that's exactly what those empty chairs gave me. The ceremony was short. Personal vows. Soft music. The sound of wind moving through the vineyard. When Jonah said, "You make me feel like home," I felt something in my chest settle. Not crack. Not break. Settle. Like maybe, for the first time, I was building something that couldn't be taken away. We kissed. People cheered. And for a little while, I forgot. Forgot about the years of being second best. Forgot about the sister-shaped shadow that followed me through every milestone. I just danced. Laughed. Held Jonah's hand under the table as speeches were made. Felt love. Not the kind wrapped in expectations or appearances. The kind that asks for nothing but your presence. Until I saw her. Leah. Standing just beyond the patio string lights, near the edge of the field. Hair down. Holding a small envelope. Alone. I didn't panic. I didn't scream. I just stared. She didn't move forward. Didn't wave. She just waited. Watching. Jonah saw her too. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said, standing. "I'll handle it." "Want me to come?" "No. This one's mine." I walked to her slowly, heels sinking slightly into the grass. She looked thinner than I remembered. Older, somehow. But her eyes were the same. Sharp. Calculating. Unreadable. "You weren't invited," I said. "I know." "Then why are you here?" She held out the envelope. "I wrote you something. I wasn't going to come. But Mom, she told me you found the messages. That you were hurt." And I stopped her with a look. Hurt isn't the word. She nodded, eyes darting to the tent behind me. "I didn't come to ruin anything. Too late. I just thought, maybe you'd want to read this." I didn't take the letter. Why now? Why not years ago? I wasn't ready. I laughed. Not bitter. Just exhausted. I was ready every day. You chose silence. Because I was scared you'd never forgive me. You're right. That caught her. Just a flicker. But I saw it. You can keep your letter. I don't need words that only come when the cameras are off and the damage is already done. I turned to walk away, then paused. But thanks for staying in the shadows. It's where you've always been when I needed you most. I walked back without looking over my shoulder. And this time, I didn't cry. I left the envelope on the kitchen counter for 3 days. Unopened, untouched, just sitting there like it belonged. Like it hadn't been handed to me in the dark by someone who thought, "I'm sorry," was a shortcut to clean hands. Jonah never asked about it. He noticed it, sure, but he respected my silence. Instead, he made us breakfast every morning, kept the coffee pot full, rubbed my shoulders when I stared too long at the wall, sat with me on the balcony, sometimes speaking, sometimes not. And honestly, that's what helped more than anything else. Not pressure, not advice, just presence. It wasn't that I didn't want to know what the letter said. I did. Of course I did. There's a part of every wounded person that aches for acknowledgement, for proof that the hurt wasn't all in your head. But I'd already lived through the silence. Through the nights I stayed awake, wondering what I'd done to make her disappear. Through the birthdays she missed, the graduation she skipped, the voicemail she never left. So I didn't need her version of events. Not now. Not when I had already learned how to exist without it. On the 4th day, Jonah picked it up. He held it carefully, like it might burn his fingertips. "Still sealed," he said, almost more to himself than to me. I didn't look up from the book I wasn't really reading. "It's not mine to open anymore." He nodded, turned it over in his hands once, twice. "You mind if I read it?" I didn't hesitate. "Go ahead." He stepped onto the balcony. I stayed inside, curled into the corner of the couch. And for the first time since the wedding, I didn't feel like I was waiting for something. I felt still. 10 minutes passed, then 20. When he came back in, he didn't say a word at first. Just sat next to me, slipped the letter into his jacket pocket, and reached for my hand. I finally asked. "Well," he was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "It's what you'd expect. A lot of, I didn't know how to reach you. A lot of, I was dealing with things." I nodded. "Of course." She says she was jealous. That it wasn't about what you did. It was about what she couldn't be. That made me laugh, bitter and soft. And yet I was the one they labeled the problem. He squeezed my hand. "She's sorry, but it doesn't sound like she understands what she took from you." I leaned into him. "She doesn't. Do you want to read it yourself?" "No, because I already knew everything I needed to." She didn't come for me. She came to feel better about herself, to wipe her own guilt, to reclaim a version of us that never existed outside of family photo albums. She came for closure, but I wasn't offering that. Not anymore. Later that night, I walked out onto the balcony alone. The moon was out, half hidden behind clouds. The letter sat beside me on the table, unopened again. I didn't hate her. I didn't wish her harm. But I also didn't owe her healing just because she finally decided to show up. Some things don't need dramatic endings. They don't need slammed doors or fireworks or screaming matches. Sometimes, the cleanest closure is no answer at all. The next morning, I dropped the letter into the bottom drawer of my nightstand. Not as a keepsake, not as a threat. Just to remind myself that not all stories need to be read. Some are better left sealed. That weekend, Jonah and I went away. Just the two of us. No ceremony. No formal dinner. Just a cabin by the lake, matching sweatshirts, and the first uninterrupted silence I'd had in weeks. He looked at me while I stared at the water and asked, "Do you feel like it's over?" I thought about it. Really thought. And then I said, "I feel like I'm finally in a story that doesn't revolve around them." And that was the end I had been waiting for. A week after we got back from the lake, I opened my inbox and found it. An email with no subject line, no greeting, just a PDF attachment titled family_reflections_article_draft.pdf. I clicked. It was a draft of an essay, a full-page editorial my mother had submitted to a lifestyle blog she followed, one of those family-first platforms filled with soft-lit photos of matching pajamas and curated vulnerability. The title? Healing Through Celebration, Reconnecting with Our Daughters at the Wedding That Changed Everything. My stomach dropped. The first sentence made my jaw clench. When our youngest daughter, Savannah, invited us to her wedding. We saw it as a gift, a chance to reunite with her older sister, Leah, and bring our fractured family back together. I stopped reading, because it was already a lie. They hadn't been invited. They'd been removed. But here they were, flipping the script like seasoned PR professionals. I skimmed. The moment the two sisters embraced during the reception, a long-awaited moment of grace and forgiveness, proof that time heals all wounds. I slammed the laptop shut. They were publishing a fairy tale using my wedding as the setting, a fantasy scene where we all danced, cried, and found our way back to one another. None of it had happened. There was no embrace, no speech, no reunion. But it didn't matter, because they had the old photos. They had old memories, and they knew how to make a lie look warm. I paced for 20 minutes. My hands shook. Jonah watched me silently from the doorway. What happened? They're using our wedding to sell a fake reconciliation story. He blinked. They weren't even there. Doesn't matter. They're talking like they were. And Leah showed up. That's enough for them to build a whole redemption arc around. Do you want me to call someone? No. I'll handle it. But truthfully, I didn't know how. That night, I got another email. This one from a photographer we'd hired. Hey Savannah, just wanted to check. Your mom reached out asking for copies of the wedding photos for a family scrapbook. I said I needed to confirm with you first. Let me know what to tell her. I sat with that message for a long time. Because this wasn't just about pictures anymore. It was about ownership. Of the moment. Of the truth. Of the story. I wrote back. Please do not share any files with her. The wedding was private, and they were not invited. They are now misrepresenting what happened to media outlets. I'll handle it from here. Then I sent a second message, this one to the blog listed in the article footer. Professional. Polite. But firm. The draft submitted by Mary Ann Wexler contains multiple factual inaccuracies and presents a version of events that is not only untrue, but harmful. The wedding described was a private ceremony. The individuals referenced were not invited and did not participate in any reunion. I am formally requesting that this piece not be published in any capacity. I can provide legal documentation upon request. I didn't hear back for 2 days, but when I did, it was short. We've pulled the piece from our editorial calendar. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Small victory. One lie down. God knows how many more to go. Later that week, I received a certified letter. Cease and desist. Filed by Leah's lawyer, claiming I had publicly misrepresented the nature of our relationship and intentionally defamed a member of the Wexler family in a private event made semi-public by the bride and groom. I laughed when I read it, not because it was funny, but because it was textbook. I hadn't said her name in any public statement. I hadn't referenced her in interviews. But the truth has a funny way of rattling people, especially when you've spent years building a life on performance. Tess, Jonah's cousin and conveniently a practicing attorney, read it over and snorted. This is nothing but intimidation. Empty paper. They're trying to make you scared of your own voice. It's working a little, I admit it. Don't let it. You didn't lie. They did. If they want to push it, let them. You've got more evidence than they do, and the court doesn't run on family delusions. We didn't respond. We didn't have to. A week later, the letter was quietly retracted. No apology. Just silence. Their favorite weapon. I kept thinking about that article. About how they were so desperate to rewrite history, to paint themselves as the peacemakers in a war they started. They couldn't stand the idea that I found joy without them. That I built something beautiful without their blessing. That I healed without their hands in the process. But here's the thing no one warns you about healing. It doesn't look like forgiveness. Sometimes it looks like no contact. Sometimes it looks like walking down the aisle with empty chairs beside you. Sometimes it looks like not reading the letter, not taking the call, not playing the part. Sometimes healing is the story that doesn't get published. It's strange, the way peace creeps in. Not like a celebration, not like victory, but like a soft morning, where nothing hurts and nothing expects anything from you. That's what my life feels like now. No drama, no chaos, no half apologies from people who only miss me when it's convenient. Just quiet mornings. Fresh coffee. The sound of Jonah humming in the kitchen while he makes eggs. No one calling to guilt me. No one twisting my memories into something more flattering for them. Just me. Whole. Unedited. And finally not looking over my shoulder. It's been 3 months since the wedding. The photos are printed. The thank you note sent. Our apartment smells like cinnamon and wood. We have a just us wall now, pictures of road trips, little Polaroids from our mini honeymoon, a drawing of us a friend sketched at the wedding reception. Nowhere on that wall is a picture of my parents. Not one shot of Leah. It wasn't deliberate at first, but now it feels right. I never opened another message from them. I archived the emails, muted the numbers. Not blocked, just muted. Blocking still feels like anger, like punishment. Muting is something else. It's not a boundary made of steel. It's one made of silk. Soft, unmoving, still impossible to cross. Sometimes I sit on our balcony with a book and wonder if they ever tell the real story. If they admit to each other how far they pushed me. How many small moments they watched me disappear and said nothing. How many times they let Leah take without consequence and called it love when I stayed silent. I wonder if they regret it. Not because they miss me, but because they lost the role I played in their script. The black sheep. The difficult one. The one they could point at when they needed to feel better about themselves. Now, they don't get that anymore. I ran into someone from high school at the grocery store the other day. She blinked at me like I was a ghost. "Savannah, you look amazing." "Thanks. It's the freedom." She laughed. "I didn't. I heard about the wedding, the guest list, the fallout. Are you okay?" "I'm better than okay." And I was. Because for the first time, I wasn't holding space for people who never gave it back. I wasn't rehearsing answers in case they reached out. I wasn't preparing for their return. I was just living. A few days ago, Jonah asked me something over dinner. We were eating leftovers on the couch, watching reruns of old cooking shows. If they ever show up again, like really show up, what would you do? I didn't answer right away. I took a bite, thought about it. Then I said, nothing. Nothing. Not because I don't care, but because I don't need anything from them anymore. That's a power move. No, it's just peace. They always told me I was dramatic, too emotional, too sensitive, and maybe I was. But here's what they never understood. It wasn't the crying that made me sensitive. It was the fact that I kept hoping, kept trying, kept staying, even when they gave me every reason to leave. That's not weakness. That's resilience. And now, I don't have to prove that to anyone, not even myself. The last photo in our wedding album is my favorite. It's not the kiss, not the cake, not the first dance. It's me, standing on the edge of the vineyard, hair loose, dress slightly wrinkled from hours of celebration, sun dipping low behind me, and just the faintest smile on my face. Not for the camera, not for my parents, just for me. That's the moment I remember. That's the day I stopped asking to be seen and started seeing myself. If this story touched you, share it with someone who remembers those days too.